Tonight, I am going to once again try to draw the Squashy Frog of Chicken Wing Swamp. So I'm going to start out with a heart, the basic heart shape.
Such an obvious idea. I didn't know why I didn't think of it earlier.
Let's get down to squashy business, my camp pencil pointers. Last week, with a little help from Ruby, Emily drew her version of the Squashy Frog of Chicken Wing Swamp. Last week's video was quite riveting. And then we showed the sketch to Drew after he woke up, and we asked if Emily was any closer to what Squashy Frog actually looks like. And Drew, you said, Emily's drawing is Toad-Dolly Adorbs. It almost looks just like him. Almost. So close. So this week, I will try to draw it one more time. I'm very optimistic you'll get it this time around. Maybe, Drew, maybe I could get just a little more help from you. You know, a little more help than very vague descriptions or hiding clues in emojis. You wanted some help in decoding my clues? Maybe you could give me something that's a little more than just emojis. You know, help a guy out. This week, I will help you in form of a haiku. Seriously, dude? In Chicken Wing Swamp, he wears a true boater hat with his pirate yam. Ruby thinks it's a bit fragmented, but I think it's rather delicate and lovely. This is how you help me? I know. I am quite helpful. And don't you forget it. All right. So, based on your haiku, I will, once again, try to draw the Squashy Frog of Chicken Wing Swamp. And camp pencil pointers out there, I would love for you to draw along with me. You don't have to draw exactly what I'm drawing. It's just really cool that we're drawing together. You can do it. I believe in you. Just listen to what I told ya. All right, Drew, enough of the puns. Let's go draw something ridiculous.
If I told you I didn't like puns, I am fibbing again.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, otters and dragons and octopi, welcome to Camp Pencil Point, a place where we draw using nonsense and tomfoolery and all the puns. And we're glad you stopped by tonight to join us and draw along with us, Jofu, with my good friend Emily. How's it going, Emily?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Camp Pencil Point. While you're at it, please share Camp Pencil Point with all your friends and family. Share the love of drawing. For the next 12 to 15 minutes, we embark on a journey of the ridiculous. We would love it if you drew along with us. You don't have to draw exactly what I'm going to draw. You don't even have to draw that squashy frog. Just draw along with us. Put a pencil to paper, start to doodle, let your mind wander, let it all go. Just have fun. It doesn't even have to make sense. Let's talk squashy frog. One more time. I will draw the Squashy Frog. Let me fill you in on a little background before we get into it. Camp Pencil Point is located on several acres of uncharted land. That land is populated by several strange and peculiar creatures. So we send out Drew T Drawtopus, and Drew is going to go out and he's going to discover these creatures, and he's going to come back and describe these creatures for us to draw. So Drew comes back and he tries to describe the first creature that he saw. We've been drawing this creature for a very, very long time. The description that Drew originally gave us was it was round and squashy, and this character had 2 eyes, a mouth, and 2 legs and 2 arms. So I drew several frogs. with 2 arms and 2 legs, and none of them were accurate to what Drew was describing. Ruby said, change your perspective. That really helped me out. Then Emily came in and she drew her rendition of this frog using clues that she picked up in some of Drew's social media posts and even just what he said. Lo and behold, what Emily drew was a lot more accurate. So good job. Good job, Emily. As Drew said in the intro, we're almost there. And then when I asked him for some more clues, some better description, he gives us a haiku. Emily and I talked about this. Let me just read what the haiku was. In Chicken Wing Swamp, he wears a true boater hat with his pirate yam. I think you looked into it a lot deeper. So what did you say? What were the clues that you found in Drew's haiku?
Well, he mentioned boater hat. My drawing was close, and he was dragging a ship behind him. I'm figuring we could put the boat right on his head, and that would add to his squish too.
So a boat on his head to be the hat, and the weight of the boat squishing the frog, making it the squashy frog with the boat on his head. So the boater hat is the boat as a hat.
Don't think too hard about it.
And then
for the yam, I think that would just be a literal pirate yam. A yam as a pirate.
You think the actual yam is a pirate?
That's what I think.
I'm going to take another try at drawing the squashy frog in Chicken Wing Swamp. And I'm going to take the clues that Emily's picked up on. A boat becomes a hat, the boater hat, and he's going to have a friend that's a yam, it's a pirate. As we established last week, 2 arms and 2 legs, so he's standing on 2 legs. I'm going to take my final shot at drawing Squashy Frog. And we'll see how far I get. We'll see how accurate I am. So without further ado, let's draw the Squashy Frog of Chicken Wing Swamp. So I'm going to start out with a heart. One of the first emojis that Drew used was a green heart emoji. So I'm going to use the heart as my basic shape. And now I'm adding a little bit of squash to where I believe the boat would be. The boat is his hat, is squashing him down a little bit, so we get a little bit of squash going on. I'm using the heart as the central shape for my character, and then everything else around it, like as you can see, the eyes and the legs and the arms, they're all going to be attached to that heart, but the heart is going to be my main simple shape. What are you looking at, Emily?
I'm looking at your drawing.
Oh, okay.
It's over there, right?
This is our first time on camera doing commentary on my artwork, so usually we just like sit back and sip our tea, but here we are on camera. I am building from a toned paper. It has been a little while since I've drawn something on toned paper. It establishes a middle tone. So I go in with the dark, and then when I go in with my light colors, it really pops off that middle tone. Whatever you're using, whatever you're drawing with, get whatever you have in your mind and get it out on the paper and just have fun with it. And don't worry about the final product. Don't worry about how it's going to look in the end. If you don't like it, you can always start another drawing. Let me just recap the character of the frog. Once again, the boat is his hat, but the boat is heavy, so it's creating some squash, and it's squashing down into the frog. I try to give him a little bit of character, a little happy skull on the sail, flag on top of the crow's nest. I don't know why, I just drew his tongue out. I think he looks quite dashing with that tongue sticking out. So that was one thing you did, Emily, last week that I really liked. The eyes kind of popped off the top of his head. I picked up on that, and I'm playing around with it, where the eyes aren't actually in his head, but they actually kind of pop off his head. That's the way, you know, frogs have those eyes that just kind of come off their body. I also used your plush frogs that we talked about last week. I used those as inspiration. How many of those plush frogs do you have?
I think I made 20.
Okay. I know you found like little like coffee mugs and stuff for them to hold.
And bow ties.
And they had bow ties.
It's such an obvious idea. I didn't know why I didn't think of it earlier. Bow ties and coffee mugs.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally you. There is my squashy frog with his boater hat and his pirate yam friend. Heather chiming in, just thinking, if the pirate yam was a sidekick, what if the squashy frog is actually a squash? That's a pretty good theory. Heather is onto something. Heather, where were you like in July when I drew like 50 frogs that were not accurate? Emily, I feel like you're a big fan of the pirates. You're a big fan of anything seafaring. Have you ever been to, I know like in Florida, a lot of parts of Florida have a lot of pirate artifacts. And there's even an area where it's so rich in pirate artifacts buried in the soil that if a resident wants to garden in their backyard, they can't do it without an archaeologist present. Like they can't plant a rose bush unless an archaeologist is there to supervise and make sure they don't destroy anything.
Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah. Yes.
And annoying.
The one thing I will point out, before I go into the question, the one thing I will point out is that mid-tone gray is a very similar value to that green. So if you squint your eyes, the green and the gray have very similar values. It didn't create as much pop as I hoped, but at the same time, when I go in with my finishing techniques using my gel pens, I use the gel pens to help create that separation from character and background. But let me ask you this, Emily, because you're such a nautical fan. That sounds funny. Nautical fan. Let's say you're a pirate. If you were a pirate and you had a boat, you had a big boat, and you had all the accessories of a pirate, what mascot would you have? Would you have a parrot on your shoulder? What would your mascot be?
Parrots are cool, but I thought maybe a seal.
A seal?
Yeah, the one that came to mind is the slick classic seals.
Oh, a slick.
That's what I was
The
thinking.
classic
They're
seal.
all cute.
So would you have a seal on your shoulder? Like a parrot instead of a parrot? Would you wear it like a frock? What would you name?
They're too big.
A little big. Yeah, they're kind of big, and they're round. They're kind of like the Squashy frog. So you have a seal that's your mascot, and you're on a boat. You're on a pirate boat. What would the name of the boat be?
I think the barking sea dog.
That's a good one. The barking sea dog. I thought I heard Hogarth come into the background.
We did.
He was very offended that he wasn't the mascot. Let me hit you with the mascot I would have. I guess as a pirate, I would have the mascot of a duck. And I wouldn't have the duck on my shoulder. I just hold the duck like a football. And I think the duck will be named Bruce. I don't know why. So Bruce the duck, holding Bruce the duck like a football. I have no reason for any of this.
I can visualize that.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. Camp Pencil Pointers out there, if you were a pirate and you needed a mascot, what would it be? And if you had a boat, what would you name it? I'm glad I saw your interpretation of Squashy Frog. It really changed my thoughts on what he should look like. So I'm really thankful that I got to see your perspective of art, and it helped me change my way of looking at art. So now I have a Squashy Frog, and I think Squashy Frog looks pretty dapper. He's a pretty sharp looking frog with his yam pirate buddy.
I like it a lot.
Thank you. I'm going to put a little signature at the bottom of this, and I'm going to call this the Squashy Frog of Chicken Wing Swamp complete. This sketch is done. Hey, how you doing? Emily has this new setup that's like the biggest screen in the world, and she's able to draw on it. I'm really jealous. So let me say this, if you're watching the bite-sized version of this video and you want to watch the drawing at regular speed, please follow Camp Pencil Point on Facebook. You could watch our live streams in their entirety. If you're a good artist, then be a good artist. If you're a not so good artist, then be a not so good artist. Whatever you do, just draw and have fun as you draw. You are important, and your artistic voice is important too. So take care of yourself and take care of your artistic voice. Remember to draw every day, but to take the stress out and to draw for fun. To all my Camp Pencil Pointers out there, thank you for stopping by and joining Emily and I tonight. Never stop creating and never stop inspiring. Until next time, everyone, go out and draw something ridiculous.